Bam.
Yeah, that's so that I can go back over it and then.
There we go. All right, we're recording now.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. All right, so basically, if you see blue, you got to try to define your object a little bit more. Now let's say if I'm doing this as a basic keychain and I want to put like, you know, a keychain might have will have a hole in it for a ring. Some people might design the whole shebang, right? Like I might put a little rectangle here for the ring. I tend to piecemeal things a little bit more so that when I go to walk things back, um, thing like each feature is defined by its own like modeling entity. So I try not to stack too many things of a design into one. Kind of like your thing you had earlier,
Yeah.
Bill, that does like the film reel sketch. For that, I probably would have done a circle, and then I would have probably done the hub cutouts. Like, I'll break it down into steps. It makes it just a little bit more of a
That's what I did.
more robust model. Oh, you modeled it all. It was one sketch, is what I'm saying. I would probably break it down to have different sketches for different features.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Because then if one sketch breaks, the rest of it doesn't break
Yeah.
necessarily. So like adding a keyhole, I probably wouldn't do that on this guy. So I'm just gonna click the green check mark. So once you click the green check mark, you kind of go back into model mode, I guess you'd call it, or just the I don't know the default space. I don't know if it has a technical term. And you see like a darkened sketch. Now, if let's say for whatever reason this wasn't defined, so we'll exaggerate it so it's a little bigger. So if I like sometimes there can be little gaps, right? Especially if I built this out of lines. If this thing is not shadowed in, essentially that means there's a gap somewhere. So it means that somewhere where these lines meet, there's a gap. So you can see my gap right there. Um, so that makes it a little easier to see on this design, but that's just something to always kind of keep an eye out for. If you don't see a fully shaded part or sketch, something is open. And you'll know right away because it won't let you do an extrude operation. So on the left, now we see we see four different things. Well, technically five if you count the origin. We have our top, front, right plane, and we have a sketch one. So my sketch one has this little logo next to it because something in here is not defined. Um, oh, it's because I deleted that dimension. So 2 inches, green check mark. All right. So we'll see sketch one. You don't have to. I'm pretty bad about it, but for being new, one way to kind of keep things straight, especially when you have a ton of parts, like this last one I was just doing. I'll show you this to show you. Sometimes it can be important to name your sketches. So this dice lamp thing that I was working on. So on the left, these are all the features. These are all the features. So tons of sketches, tons of extrudes, tons of all that stuff. Well, I realized something in the design the other day. I'm gonna have to go through and fix some stuff. Um, and I'm probably gonna have to just model from scratch because of how I did things. I don't think it will be successful to try to figure out the order of operations in this mess. So I'm probably just gonna start from scratch. Um, yeah. So, but then you could like basically we could rename this, and I could say, all right, this is our base sketch, so that down the road I know. And it's optional. I'm bad about it. Sometimes I'm better about it. When I'm doing customer client work, usually I'm better about it. So that 6 months, like I've one client, I won't talk to her for a year or 6 months, and she reaches back out, and I'm like, how did I build this thing again? So I try to make sure to label things for my future benefit. The next step, like I said earlier, kind of the process for most modeling in 3D CAD: sketch, extrude. So this first button here is called extrude. So essentially you pick on that. It kind of looks cumbersome because there's a lot of different options when you click extrude. All these tools have other tools nested inside them. So when I click extrude, I can actually do a surface extrude, a surface or a solid extrude, a surface extrude, or a thin extrude. And I can make a new part, I can add to a part, I can remove from a part, or intersect, which I've honestly never used. That would be like you're trying to find the intersection between two parts or something like that. Honestly, I've never had a circumstance where that was useful. So here I want a new part because we don't have anything. So it tells me what to do. It says faces and sketch regions to extrude. So it's like, all right, go ahead and pick on where you want. So I pick on my little sketch area. Now, if it doesn't let you select it, that means that your sketch was not fully defined. Everybody see a box? The other thing that can happen is people will be looking at it like this. Newbies always forget you can rotate. So if you have a mouse, which I recommend, you can use your right mouse button to kind of click and drag. Or you hit one of these quick buttons up here to go like isometric view. Because, if you were just in sketch mode, you're going to be out of sketch mode when you left, so you're going to be in a top view.
What does the yellow mean?
Yellow.
At the bottom there?
That just means that's the region that I selected.
Okay.
Yes. And it defaults to 1 inch. So there's a couple different modes under here. Blind basically just means whatever dimension you put. I put 100 inches, it'll do 100 inches. I do 2 inches, it'll do 2 inches. We'll just make this half an inch. Whoops. And then I can even do a second direction. So sometimes that's useful if you're doing like, something that's symmetric across a plane or whatever. Maybe I'll show that so that I can do like a mirror operation. Or no, I'll just do a mirror operation of this thing. So let's make this guy 0.25. There's also this option to click symmetric. So if I click symmetric, let me zoom in on it. You'll see what kind of happens. So there's the bottom plane that I sketched on. If I click this little symmetric button, essentially it says, oh, he wants to take this and make it on both sides symmetrically. And then the cumulative distance of that would be 0.25 inches thin. So there's a couple of ways to extrude it. But essentially, you're probably just going to do a blind extrude, pick a height that makes sense, 1/4 inch, half an inch, something like that, for like a basic like keychain looking thing. So then next up, we need to add some detail to it. So I want to add like a loophole for the keychain. So again, I'm going to pick a face. So I could pick, now that I have some actual geometry here, you can actually pick on the surfaces that you sketch. So I could click on this surface and I could say, all right, I'm going to sketch on the top of this guy. Everybody following along back there? Okay. Good. So I picked the top face there. And it'll say where your sketch is. So it says sketch 1 now. So I can verify by rotating. Yep, I chose the right one. So I'm going to go N to go normal. N goes normal in sketch mode. It won't do that if you don't have a face selected. So just remember N for normal. So I'm going to actually use this little corner up here in my rectangle, and I'm going to use a circle. I'm going to put a center point circle or C on the keyboard. So if I hit C, basically it wants me to just click anywhere. So I'm actually going to put it, I'm like, all right, I want it to be on this corner. So I'm going to click it. Well, then you have to click off of it to get it to select. And it doesn't matter. Some people get hung up on trying to get the dimension here right by, you can see the numbers changing. I always just, click off somewhere, boom, and then you can come back and hit D on your keyboard and we could add a dimension to it versus trying to get it right. Is that really an inch? So Corel Draw, why are you sending me a pop-up? All right, so then I'm going to hit the green check mark because I'm going to leave my sketch. Essentially what I want to do is add a little keyring area to it. So I'm out of sketch mode, so that I'm going to hit extrude again. So it wants me to pick a region, so I'm going to pick on this region. So you'll notice something, it's going the opposite way that I want it to, right? So it's going to create, if I click the check mark right now on this part, what it's going to do is it's going to create two parts because the parts are technically not intersecting or touching. So in the bottom left corner, I have part 1 and I have part 2. They're two parts. It's not what I wanted. But because on the left here, we have our model tree, feature tree history. So I can actually go back and say, all right, let's double click on my extrude 2. So double click on something you want to edit, or I can right click and just go edit. So whatever way you remember. And I can say, all right, well, I want to change the direction. So I'm going to hit opposite direction. Well, then now I have a problem with my distance. So if I know that distance, which I do, it's 0.25. I can type 0.25. And I can do it that way. Again, if I hit the green check mark, I'm still on this new tab right here. So what I would want to do is click add. You'll notice mine is red because sometimes it doesn't know what you want it to add it to. So, and sometimes you'll have multiple objects on your screen. So it doesn't necessarily know what it wants you to merge it with. So if I click on, we're down here, we're at this blue, basically it kind of guides you. So if you see like a blue open box with nothing selected, that usually means it's waiting for you to tell you something. It's waiting for you to tell it something. So it basically just wants me to click on what I want it to merge with. So I'm going to click on that part. And what you're going to see is it's all happy now. So it all turned one color and it merged successfully. Does that make sense? You just got to remember when you're doing an extrude operation or any of these other operations, they always have the ability for new, add, or remove, or solid, or surface, or thin. So let me just show you what surface would do. So if I did surface and I pick on this, what it's going to do is it's going to create just a infinitely thin circled disc. It has no thickness to it. So like if I wanted to ultimately 3D print this thing, I'm not going to be able to because it has no thickness. It has no top. There's no top or bottom to it. Those can be useful to create surfaces when you want to chop geometry away in a way that you can't really do easily with extrudes and stuff like that. But that's kind of advanced. Thin over here, the thin mode, if I select it, this one is a little bit more useful. So if I click thin, see it made my ring for me. So it saved me actually an extra step. But there's actually there's a couple more options here for me to choose for like dimensions. So at default put 0.25, so I can change that to 0.5 or whatever else I might think I want. I can play with it. I can say, all right, do this on the mid plane. You know, a lot of times you would use this for like, trying to think of a use case. Thin walls, if you want to make thin walls of something like a box or a case, it's not as useful though, to be honest. There's other ways to do it. But I wanted to show you what that does. So you have solid, surface, and thin. Up here, sometimes Onshape picks the wrong thing. Usually you're fighting with whether you want a new object to add or to remove. So for this part, I'm just going, like I said, I'm going to add this. I'm going to hit the green check mark, and I'm going to have two merged objects. Now, if I accidentally did this and it had two parts, I have two parts where they're two different colors, there is another operation called a Boolean, right? Which makes sense. Everybody remembers Boolean operations in math. Or I can actually like, all right, I want to merge these two together. Boom. And that's useful in some cases. Uh, we have an extra feature model, a model tree item now, which just complicates things, right? If I can do it without, if I can model something without adding complexity in my model, my feature tree, I would prefer. But it works, and there's certain use cases for that. So I'm just gonna go back and modify mine so it says add. Is everybody else able to get like some geometry sketch and add it to their design, the rectangle part? Looks like you boys are good.
I'm stuck extruding this circle in the right direction.
So there is a little arrow right here. So right next to where it says blind, edit your double click on your extrude operation and it will pop it up like this. So then you can actually click there's an arrow for opposite tool or opposite direction. The other way to do it is instead of making this a blind, I'll actually just show you why this would matter. Learning scenario here. So let's say I did it this way, and I just did a 1/4 inch. I manually typed in a 1/4 inch. So the problem now is if I say, all right, I'm going to change the thickness of my keychain. We're going to make this thing one inch thick. It's going to be big. Well, notice how my circle cylinder extrude did not grow with it. It's because that extrude operation was only set up to go a 1/4 of an inch. Now, if I know for a fact I'm going to be going back and changing things constantly, I would change how I define this. Instead of blind, I would do something like up to face or up to vertex. Vertex. So up to face literally means like, where do you want this thing to go to? So I'd look under my part. I would go, all right, bing, bada, boom. I click on that face. Sometimes you don't have faces to click on. Sometimes you just have like a point. So I could choose up to vertex, and a vertex is just a point. So anything like these intersecting points in the corners here, that's a vertex. So I could choose up to face and then choose a face, or I could choose up to vertex and I could choose this. So then now if I go back and I edit this extrude and I say we want to make this 0.1 inches, we want to go smaller than I thought, everything kind of grows with it. So you can really get yourself kind of messed up in the weeds if you don't have fully defined entities. So like Bill, I noticed with like your film spool thing that you had, everything was blue on that sucker. All the sketch was
Yeah.
blue. So that the first thing I would do would be going in and basically you want to make as much black and defined as possible.
Why was it all blue?
Because it wasn't defined, or some parts of it weren't defined. My guess is you did a pattern for
Yeah.
those
I did
hubs.
a sixth of it,
Yeah.
and then I rotated it around
Yeah.
whatever.
Now you can do some advanced things, and there's like parameters you can add. So if we knew we wanted to define things by like thickness, so I do this with laser cut projects quite a bit. So you could define a variable and say thickness, and I could change the variable that says thickness is 1/8 inch. Well, then if I go and I change a design for 1/4 inch, let's say, I could type in the new thickness and it would automatically kind of generate the design if I have everything fully defined. If I don't have things defined, what you see here will happen. I'll change one thing and then some things won't change with it. Um, cool. All right. So are you with us? So. What do you think
Like my box is still
blue?
yeah.
That's okay. We can just roll with it. It's learning.
Yeah.
So the next thing I want to do is add a keyring hole. So I'm going to go and I'm going to click another sketch. There's a pattern here, guys. Sketch extrude, sketch extrude. It's literally that on repeat. is 90% of design in this kind of modeling program. So I clicked on this top face again. I'm going to hit N to go normal to it. Kind of looks like we got half a Mickey Mouse ear going on over there. So I want to have a hole right in the middle here. So I'm going to go up to my center. Actually, no, we'll do center. We'll do a center point circle. Yeah. So if I hover over this area, you'll notice like it wants to snap. It wants to do things that make sense. So it's like, oh, he's hovering over the center of that circle. That must mean he wants to click there. So I'm going to click on it and I'm going to draw my circle. Again, it's blue. The center of the circle is black. So we know that that center point is defined. The other thing you can do in Onshape is in other CADs is sometimes you accidentally define things wrong. So like let's say I'm like, oh crap, I didn't mean to put that on the center. I did, but you'll see these little icons that pop up for how they're defined. So if I click on it, I can actually hit delete, and now my circle can move all willy-nilly. And then I could say, well, actually I did want that. So I'm going to use this concentric constraint, which is, it's two circles inside of each other. So it kind of shows you what it is. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to click on this outer circle and this inner circle, and it should snap to it. So I still got blue, so that means I have to define this middle part. So I'm just going to say, all right, you're going to be a half an inch, whatever. So then I leave my sketch. I click the green check mark and I'm out of my sketch mode. You'll know you're out of sketch mode. Again, this is one of the things that keeps people is you'll lose track of what mode you're in. Or let's say like the other thing that can happen is there's a lot of planes and stuff going on here, right? So I could actually, any of these items on the left, if you hover over them, there's a little eye next to it. So you can actually hide a lot of that stuff. So if it's like, trust me, there's like some jobs that I've had that there's like 3,000 planes and I'm constantly hiding and unhiding things. So anything can be hidden or unhidden. So the first time after you implement a sketch, it hides, but I can actually unhide it, and then you can kind of see the ghost lines of my sketches over here. I like to keep them hidden for the most part, just because it can take up, it just takes away the visual from your eyes if you have too many things showing, except the one I want to show, or the one I want to use to extrude. So I'm going to do another extrude operation because we're sketching and extruding. I'm going to hit remove. So this little blue box here says faces and sketch regions to extrude. So make sure you're hovering in the right spot. So you'll notice I kind of hover and it moves. It wants to change things around. So it's very easy to accidentally pick the wrong thing. And then I accidentally cut my part away. But then I would just go, oh, I don't want that. I'm just going to click this little X here. And then I'm going to find the right thing that I want. So again, I can define this.
It's all related with two different parts for the circle extrusion on the top left.
Yeah.
Merge those two or not do it as it in it.
Yeah, how did you merge those? The Boolean thing?
You could do Boolean.
And how do you do the Boolean?
So if you have two objects, so does yours look something like
Yeah.
like this?
You know,
Yep. So you could double click on your extrude operation and then make sure you choose add and then merge. You can say merge with all and it will just, if you don't have a complicated design, like I only have two parts, merge with all, it just automatically assumes. Or if you don't choose merge with all, you can actually pick or this one's already figuring it out. My little box, there it is. Okay. So you can pick which part to merge with or you could click merge with all. And that should get rid of it. If it doesn't, you can always do a Boolean operation and perform a union between the two with this little guy here. It's like 3 circles in a row.
But you're out of sketch.
Venn diagram almost. But you have to be out of sketch in order to get this menu to come up like that. So yeah, there's like 2D tools and then there's like 3D tools.
Union.
Yep. So if you do that, there's an option when you click on it that says keep tools.
Yeah.
So if I'll show you. So if I'm doing that, you wouldn't want to keep the tools necessarily. So if you happen to have that still checked, what ends up happening is now I have 3 parts and it will look something like this because I have my original part 1, part 2, but then it actually created part 3 and it's all overlaid over one another. So, and I also have 3 parts down here. So you just want to make sure to uncheck keep tools if you're doing it that way. Did that work?
How do you make it do it?
Just click the green check mark. So all of the like Boolean sketch, they all have a green check mark. Are you still in the tool?
I'm in tools. It says part 1 and part 2.
Oh yeah, you have to select. Yep. So select. You have 2 selected, then hit the green check mark, and it should be
Green
good.
check mark's hidden by a blue box, blue text box.
Just up here.
Yeah.
It did nothing.
No. Let's see. Oh, it's because all right. Zoom in on this area.
This area?
Yep.
Yeah.
Use your mouse wheel to kind of like zoom
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. And there.
So I don't think you have a. So basically, you have there's a part missing in the middle there.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have a circle, and then you have this part.
Yeah.
So go back and double click on extrude 1. Double click on her. So hit N on the keyboard to go to look at it normal. So select this part right here.
Yeah.
There you go. So now it's merging. So basically, you had multiple zones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show everybody what you did, what you had. So essentially, he had multiple zones, and he just had like a gap not chosen. So he probably did something like this. You can say after and write on the chalkboard.
I had 2 parts and I extruded them together.
So this is what Bill had. Oh, not that. The heck? It's funny when you're trying to get something to mess up and it doesn't do it. It's kind of, oh, here we go. All right, so this is what Bill had. He had like basically a zone in the middle of his 2 sketches. So whenever you enclose an area, so if I double click on my sketch, anything that's like kind of an enclosed like black area, Onshape and Fusion, I don't know about FreeCAD, they treat it as a separate zone. So when you're selecting things to extrude, you have to make sure, when I go back and edit that extrude operation, notice how there's a zone there that's not selected. So changing, what I think your problem was is your view, right? Your view was like zoomed out like this, and it was like at a weird angle, so you didn't know. So you'll get, once you like play around with this stuff,
Yeah.
you'll be like me, where like you just constantly are like as you're designing, you're just constantly rotating and like making sure you're seeing everything from the right angles, and yeah. So yeah, that's all he had, was just a zone that wasn't chosen.
I didn't glue them together until after I extruded them.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to do a remove operation for the keychain right there. Again, I could do a blind hole at 1 inch, or I could say up to face. I'm going to do up to face because that's a more robust solution, more parametrically stable. Now Onshape is kind of boring when it comes to like the fun decorations of things. So like what I tend to do with like decorating, I'll show you because it'll be a useful exercise for how to extract files. So I like to use Tinkercad. Have you guys used Tinkercad?
No.
Y'all need to make a Tinkercad account.
Next step.
Yeah. It has the kid's name, right? Tinkercad. But I use it for like professional stuff because like not a lot. So for one thing, for 3D printing files, Tinkercad is one of the only programs where you can actually import and manipulate a file that you found on a website for 3D printing.
And it's
So
fast.
and it's fast. It loads fast. It's well, it's freaking great.
You like a 3MF or
No, only STLs. Yeah. So like I could take this keychain part here. I'm just gonna show you. I'm gonna export it. So I'm gonna right click on my part. I'm gonna click export. And the other thing that Onshape does is it names things all kind of funky like. It doesn't name things based on your document title. So I named it up top keychain example, but it's like part studio 1, part studio or part 2. So basically at the bottom here where it says part studio 1, you can rename your part there because you can have multiple parts in the same document. So let's call this keychain. And you don't have to do this. I'm just showing you how we can export it for 3D printing. So we can export a step or we can export what's called an STL for 3D printing. I'm gonna hit export. Usually takes a quick second, and I'm gonna go to Tinkercad. Tinkercad's way more fun for decorating and like free modeling. So import. So then I could like, they have shapes like hearts and all kinds of fun, you know, fun things that Onshape's a professional CAD. It's not made to make things pretty, right? So that's one way. But I could also take I could find an image. So I'm gonna do that real fast. Let's find a heart image. I'll tell you how we can. If you guys want to Google and look for something simple like a heart image, a star, maybe even like I don't know, like a silhouette of something like a lion, black and white silhouette. Something like that. I could do that. Don't pick something like this. You're gonna have a bad time. That's not gonna work. you know, yeah. So I'm just gonna pick like this simple black lion, and I'm gonna show you how we could get it into Onshape. Basically, I just need to save that image down to like my downloads folder. So I'm just gonna call it black and white lion image.
I like this part.
Keep it simple. What's that a logo from? Is that the green? It's something different.
Yeah,
Five.
Greek letters. I
Okay.
found.
I thought it was like the Green Lantern logo for a second.
So how do I do it?
All right. So you'll want to like right click on your image and click save image as. And save it to just like your downloads folder or your desktop, somewhere where you know where it is. Hopefully, and we'll know right away if it didn't save it as the right file. So sometimes when you're saving images off Google, right, especially if they're like on a site where they want you to buy it, it won't let you save it as the proper file. So we'll figure that out if we get there. So next thing I have to do, import. So on the bottom left of Onshape, there's a plus icon, bottom left corner. It'll be to the left of your design part. So it says import. So then it's going to pull up a thing where it wants you to pull it in. So I'm just going to click on my lion. So it's import. What it's doing, we just need to have it in our workspace, essentially. So that's one way to import it. We can actually import it in the in this next step too. So if you did not click on the little plus import, we can do it in the next step too. There's multiple ways to skin a cat, as they say. So in order to do the images, it's a sketch. So essentially I need to pick sketch mode. I need to pick a flat surface. And then I want to hit N on my keyboard to look normal at it. Then when I'm in sketch mode, there's an option. It's about in the middle, right next to the dimension icon. I'll say insert DXF or DWG or insert image. So if I have a DXF or DWG, like you have, and like those are essentially CAD files. Those are 2D. They call them 2D vector CAD files. So if I had a DXF or a DWG of that lion, I could import it there. I'm just going to show you how we can insert any image and kind of trace over the image to get what we want. So that's what that is. So defaults, it shows DXF first, but that little arrow means you can click down and then there's an insert image. So then you see on the left, if you've uploaded it, it'll show up in this little area here. If you had multiple images uploaded, they all show up here. But there's also the option to import it here. So if you didn't import it by clicking the plus and then import, you can actually just do it and import it on the fly, like right here. So if I hadn't imported it, I could just click this little import. Same thing pops up. I could click it there, select it. Does that make sense? So what it's asking is,
I'm sure. Mine just jumped to the right to drum table.
try to import it again right there. You can, on the bottom left, there should be, it's hidden actually. Huh.
Can't drag it up either.
Yeah, there's like a view. Click on, all right, so click on control and, nope, that won't work.
What kind of file is it?
Oh yeah, it could not be the right file.
Yeah, because that doesn't look like an image file.
It's probably a web PM or web key.
Yeah, it's a web page.
Yeah, you'll have to, so try to find like an actual image. So try to save an image that lets you save it as an image, a JPEG or a PNG. And it's bound to happen. Half of the images people use for that. So if you click on your image, it's going to tell you to draw an image rectangle. So I always just kind of click anywhere, just draw a little rectangle. We can always, don't make it too big. I always tell people, don't make it snap to things. So some things that can mess people up is if I like hover too close to this line and it snaps down there and it automatically is locked there and I didn't want it to be, and I'm like, oh crap, then I can control Z and just kind of undo it. So we can make the size whatever we want. So I always start small. I'll draw it just kind of in the center of something or off to the side of my main part, and then I can kind of work on the constraints after that.
This is okay, right? You did just delete the center of that.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Oh wait, that's just message.
We'll make it work. So you're on the bottom side, which I'm going to show you guys how to transform and move your part once we make it anyways. So I'm just going to add a dimension to this lion. I'm just going to call them 2 inches. I don't know if it's going to let me define the height. Nope. Okay. Usually when you input an image, it locks the aspect ratios. So usually you only need to add a height or a width to the rectangle, and that will define it. Unless you define, like right now it's blue, right? So I can still move this guy around. So unless I snap it to a corner, then it will turn black. But yeah. So anyways, if you have your image there and it's kind of the size you think you want it to be, there's a tool, a sketch tool up here in the top. It's on the right side of the circle tool, but it's before the text tool. It's called a spline. So a spline is basically kind of a freeform draw tool. Not really freeform. It has constraints to it, but that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to kind of show you. I'm going to show you on the white spot how it works. So basically if I start clicking and I click and I click, it's going to create kind of a free form spline. And the more I click, the finer detail I can get. So it's a very quick and dirty way to kind of like get a freeform object drawn. The only problem is you can't really easily go back and add, like you can't add dimensions to a spline. It's just the nature of how they're drawn. They're just kind of freeform. It's kind of like a pen tool. Same thing with the other option that's here is called a Bezier curve. Both of them kind of basically just do the same thing. Bezier, I tend to use it more than spline, but spline is kind of standard in a lot of these design programs. So if I wanted to kind of trace this lion, what I would do is kind of zoom in on a start point. You know, like I'm looking at like, all right, where's a good start point for him? I'm gonna want to pick like, you know, I clicked on this area of his back right here, this little corner intersection, because it has a nice long runway where I can just keep clicking, and it's, you know, it's an inflection point itself. So you know, I could choose, like I might choose under his leg here and start down here too. Doesn't really matter. I'm just probably not gonna choose the start point like, I don't know, in one of these like super small zones. Like it's just like a gut thing. I don't know. And you can actually like use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out, and then you can click your mouse to kind of pan left, right, up, down. So it's helpful when you're trying to like zoom in and learn get these details. If you click your mouse button down,
Hold it down.
hold it down.
Mm,
Does that work?
Well,
Try dragging, like hold and drag.
yeah, it's just moving the.
You have an actual mouse. Interesting.
Yeah. And now I'm dropping in dots I don't want.
Control Z.
And then think, all my dots are white.
No, I'm just like, I can see
If you hit escape, it'll stop what you're doing. So if you have some kind of a shape and you want to stop, you can basically just hit enter or escape.
How do I stop the spline from curving?
So if you wanted to capture, like, let's say a pointy object, that's where I would like, I saw your logo and it was I could kind of see what you're trying to do. So let's say I want to do this guy's tail and I want it to be a little pointier. So I'm going to start on his butt and let's just go down here. So what you might want to do is do two splines. So like I might stop this spline at the end right there, and then I would hit escape and then go to the spline tool and start another one and then use that as my start. But you can see how by doing that it gave me like a pointy area. So sometimes sometimes it doesn't make sense to do all of it in one operation. We could break it down into a couple different shapes. So like, you know, maybe it makes sense to have his tail be separate for some reason. Whoops. Onshape it's not necessarily the best for doing this kind of like fun free shape kind of thing. I
Would
would
it just be better to use a bunch of lines? Because mine is very like
You could do lines. Yeah, you could do like you could go to your line mode and sketch it that way. Or more advanced method would be there are tools for image to DXF converter. And I'll show you this. So I can take a image file, so that black and white lion, and well, let's see if this will give us the right DXF. Where do you click start? Okay, there it is.
Do your PWG to a PDF file on a separate software.
What this website's called Convertio. It'll let you do this for free. So like it gave me a DXF. So I'm gonna download it. Let's see what it actually gives us to import.
Doesn't that automatically do that in the software?
Not it won't CAD won't take an image and create it won't take an image and create a DXF. So when I import an image, it's always an image. So if I want to try to convert this lion image to a DXF, I have to use something.
Well,
Like-
draft site's got those automatically in there.
Can you take an image and convert it
Yeah,
to?
it's automatically to.
Interesting.
So yeah, that I'm not trying to hold you up here.
No, you're fine. DraftSite's part of SolidWorks, right?
Well, no, it's solid built-in draft right because it's a cheaper Autodesk. They have audit because I had to go with a software package that does the PDF to the DWG file.
Right.
So I get all the stuff in there. Well, if you, that was up 2 years ago. They upgraded so that it's automatically in there so that you can do any PEG file and put it into a DWG or PDF for conversion. So in the software, that's why I was just asking.
That's interesting.
I don't want to hold you up here.
No, they're good.
What was the name of that program?
The website's called Convertio.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't look promising because I don't see, it didn't do what I wanted it to.
Okay.
Maybe it,
All this stuff is on the video card, right?
what's up?
All the stuff that we're doing right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all been, I have it been,
Oh, no, that's okay. I just want to make sure because I'll go back over it. I got,
yeah,
so,
got it live streamed right here.
no problem.
Using a program called OBS Studio, if y'all were curious.
Back to standard for screen recording.
Yeah, pretty much.
I had somebody ask me if he needed to record it to Skype calls. I said, shut up OBS.
Alright, so I don't think it converted that to a DXF properly. So the one thing that Onshape doesn't do that Fusion does is Fusion will let you use what's called an SVG file, which tend to import a little nicer. Onshape, they have not added that, and I don't know why. But I could convert this black and white JPEG to an SVG, which is called a scalable vector graphic, in Onshape, and I could import it just a lot easier than what this shows. But if you do want basic images, that was kind of the point was like, we're just gonna do this guy real fast. Depending on how much patience you have. And even I thought this lion was pretty simple, and I was like, maybe. But it's possible. Depends on your patience. This will be the derpiest lion ever. That's fair. All right, let's see. So now I do have my sketch stone. So I'm going to just extrude these guys to show you that. 0.125. I'm going to do this as a new instead of add so that you guys can see. Oh my god, that does not look anything like a lion. So if I wanted to once I have my object and it was, let's say I didn't scale it like I wanted it to be or move it, I can manipulate my objects using this transform tool. This is probably one of the other more common things that I would use because it allows you to pick apart an entity. I think you can even do sketches and stuff, which are less useful, but it's called, I would call it, or let's do scale first. So basically each transform operation, so if I want to, let's say, scale this derpy lion picture up, I would have to do one transform and I would click on scale. If I want to change its XY position on my keychain here, then I'll do another transform operation. So I'm going to click scale first. Basically it's going to ask you, you have to pick your part you want to scale, and then it's going to say, where do you want to scale from? So it's a point or a mate connector. So if I pick this point on the tail of this guy, what's going to happen is he's going to scale, and let's say I doubled it. It should preview it. So it's going to scale it from that point away from that. It's going to scale away from that point. So if I change the point that I'm going to scale, let's say I pick just something up here, I don't know, in the center, if it'll let me pick anything. Is there really no other points there? I guess there really isn't, because so I technically could pick this area. So wherever you pick that point, it will scale away from that point. And I just had it as 2 times. Let's do 1.5. And then if I wanted to, let's say, move him around a little bit, I would do another transform. I always translate by XYZ. I don't ever translate by line. I don't ever translate by distance. I always translate by XYZ.
Where's the transform at?
It is right up top. It's right next to Boolean. It's right next to the 3 circles eating one another.
Which one?
It's this guy. It looks like 2 boxes with like 2 arrows kind of rotating around it.
Yeah, transform.
And when I want to move stuff, I'm always using translate by XYZ. So that allows me, I can actually like click and drag. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. So it gives you these arrows so that if I want to move it to my left, I can just drag the horizontal arrow. If I want to change it, go vertical up my part, I could change that. If I want to bring it down into my part, I could go down a little bit into it. Then we can see that it's starting to pop out the other side. Well, that might actually be useful too, because then I could show you.
That's going to transform your whole part.
It'll transform whatever part you're selecting. So
It'll just
like
be a part.
it would just be a part. So for me,
Can't be part of a part.
exactly, it'll be its own entity. So like the first time I did a scale was on part 3, which is my derpy lion. It'll do whatever I chose, and I made sure I chose part 3. And you can actually do text in Onshape.
That's what I'm trying to do.
So if I wanted to do, basically you have to do another sketch. So I'm just going to add some text on this little open area. I did a sketch. I'm going to pick this keychain plane. I'm going to hit N on my keyboard. And then there is this, under sketch mode, there's A, that's your text option. And what that thing wants is it wants you to draw a box. So kind of like the image, when you drop an image in and it's like, hey, draw a rectangle. That's what it's going to want, is you to draw a box. So then I could say, go Lions. A lot of times your text is going to be bigger or smaller than you want. So I drew a box, and the box defines the height of your text. So if I want this guy to fit on my keychain, I'd have to drag it over. And I might have to like add a dimension. So I might have to make this guy a little smaller and say, all right, we'll make him 0.4 inches tall.
Can you resize it after you?
After you draw the box, yeah.
How do you do that?
So if you just have a blue box, all you got to
I
do,
already have the text in it.
yep.
Yeah.
So all you got to do is dimension D on the keyboard. Pick the height of your text, and it will add a dimension to it. So then you could just change that. So like mine, it shows 0.58. Obviously, it's a little too big for where I want it. I'm going to do 0.4, and it should auto update.
Dimension.
D on the keyboard for dimension,
Yeah. Or click the dimension icon.
or click dimension, which
And
is.
nothing happened.
Did you click on the line?
This line here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So hit D on the keyboard. D. Now click on that line.
Here.
There you go. Now move mouse off of it. Like move to the left. All right, click it.
Click it.
Yep. Now move off to the side. There you go. That's a common thing
Down.
that happens.
And then.
What?
Hit D.
Then it's already dimensioned, so you just have to basically
Type in the number.
type in a number. So if that is too big at that size, go
Yeah.
smaller.
Okay.
So like what he did is he was trying to dimension this line. He clicked it. He clicked on the line, but didn't see a dimension. You always have to move your mouse to the left or the right in order to see the dimension. That's another common thing that happens. Whoa, it got real small. Again, Tinkercad. I would probably use Tinkercad all day long to add text. It's just so much better. And it's more freeform. So this is Tinkercad. There's my text. Boom. Actually, let's make the little heart. We'll make that there we go. Boom. Well, you can do it in Onshape. It's just not super awesome.
So my drawing is not fully defined.
Sure. Let's see what we got.
Surely the same though. So I got
That's okay. So your spline drawing like that will never be defined.
Yep.
Yeah, so
So then what do I need to do to get that so I can start manipulating that?
you just hit the checkbox as long as it is an enclosed object.
Okay.
Yep. The splines, freeform, that kind of stuff will never be fully defined. Yep.
And is there a way? Okay, and then when I extrude it, it'll like that lightish gray will go probably by that.
100%. And the image should disappear.
Oh,
So I have an issue where I imported a DXF,
Yep.
then I added it to a sketch on the face of my keychain,
Yep.
which is way bigger than it needs to be. So how do I make the sketch small to match the 1 inch by 2 inch keychain?
The DXF loaded in really large. That happens because it was probably like a scale, like millimeters to inches type of a deal.
Or
I don't know if you can. The way I do it, kind of a cheat.
okay.
Is it the gear?
Mhm.
Okay. Or wait, so this is the two. This is 2x4.
I'll show you what we got. So basically, way down here. That's big. This is
Oh shoot! Yeah.
so. This is 1 by 2.
Yeah.
The issue is that this image. That's not something actually. This DXF image.
Yeah.
Um, is it easier to make it smaller here and then?
Yes. Yep. The other way I've done it in Onshape when things don't import right is make a 3D body out of it, and then you can scale it down until it looks right.
Okay. Let's see if we can put it. Oh, no,
Although you could probably scale that whole sketch down, actually. So if you leave that sketch mode, so click the green check,
Yep.
and then go to transform.
Yep.
In the middle there.
Transform.
Yep. And then try to highlight your sketch. What lets you do that via itself? No, it just went back into sketch mode.
Fine. Okay, so just come straight into that because.
I was trying to see if it would let you.
Okay.
Now try to transform that. So select that bottom sketch that you.
This thing.
Yeah. So select that whole thing. We'll try to scan the whole thing, like highlight it, like, yep. Now try to transform.
I think it's got the other stuff.
Yeah, it does. So just choose, what is that, sketch 5? Try just clicking on sketch.
Just sketch 5.
Yeah.
Okay. And then transform.
Or no, because you're in sketch mode now. Selecting, it's going into sketch mode. So try click on, don't double click, just click it once, and then now go transform. See if it lets you actually. So then instead of translate by line, do scale. Try to select the sketch entities now. So like draw a box around the whole thing.
Around
Everything. See if you can grab any of it. Okay, now choose like this point over here as your scale point. Click on that little box there.
This thing.
So see how it says point or yep. So you have to highlight it blue. Now select the point you want to scale away from.
Okay.
So now choose like 0.5 there. You should see it reduce. If it doesn't, then this trick didn't play.
Okay.
There you go. Can we make it really small?
Yeah, maybe. Was it this one? This one is hidden that for you.
I don't think it actually Did the transform show red?
Just doesn't show. That's weird. I wonder if this is just not gonna work. Let's go. There's some strange too. Yeah, like it's weird.
So it scaled it. I think it
It
just.
made it small. It scaled it, but it's way up here instead of.
So you're gonna be playing Chase the Origin game.
Oh, it's over there. Let's see. It's still there. It didn't really.
Gotcha.
I think it's gotta go smaller because that's only half size.
Like
Let's do.
try like 0.1 or 0.05 or something like that. Yeah, trying to get those entities, it is not fun. Even in Fusion, when I try to import like SVGs, like a customer will email me like an SVG or something to import in Fusion, and it still imports, and it's like not to the scale that it should be at all. So I think all these programs kind of have that same freaking problem. The other thing too is I wanted to cover like if you wanted to like laser cut the key, like something like this. Obviously, the lion we'd have to take this material away, because if we export this for lasers only use 2D, so we'd have to basically create like a drawing of this thing. So how I would do it would be basically create a sketch, and I would just choose like, oh, I'll make a plane so you guys can see it a lot easier. The other thing you can do is you can create offset planes. So we have our original planes, and there's this tool up here that's called plane. Plane. So the default is, oh, it was midplane. Usually it's offset. So if I pick on my top plane, it's going to default to 1 inch away. So that's just a simple hey, I want to be this far away from a plane. So I'm just going to click that OK because I wanted to just show you guys this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a sketch on that plane. So I am up here in space above my design. So I am sketching on that top plane 1 way up here. So I did that so you guys can see a little better. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this tool that's called Use Project. And I'm going to grab all these geometric entities that I want for my laser cut keychain, let's say. So if I click on that, I click on my weird lion. Let's try to grab the text. Well, let me grab it. What the heck? Probably, oh man, it's probably going to make me want to choose each entity separately. All right, so basically it's wanting me to grab each letter. So the tool I'm using, it's this like, it's next to text, it's called Use, and it says project edges or faces of an existing part or sketch onto an active sketch plane. So basically just it's projecting the entities I'm choosing up to a different plane. So what I'm essentially doing is I'm getting this guy ready for export for, let's say, like laser cutting. So it's making me go through and pick every one of these zones. So they're all, and it's black because I cannot edit anything. All it is doing is taking what's there and projecting it. So now if I leave that sketch, so a lot of times what I would do in this case, if I wanted to laser cut this, I would like rename that sketch laser output. It would usually be the last thing on my model tree. Now that, so if I went back and let's say, oh man, no, I did 2x4 inches. I want this to be, let's go back to the base sketch. I want this to be 6x2 inches. So I change my dimension and everything for the most part. I mean, obviously my line and stuff didn't change with it because that was freeform. But what you did notice is my text stayed the same in the same spot, and it actually updated my projected sketch. It updated to the outer bounds that I changed that bottom entity to. Oh, it did. I did not grab this ring either. There. So now what I would do with this is I can right click on, you could take any sketch and you could export as what's called a DXF or DWG, like we talked about earlier. So that'll make it so I could send it right to a laser or right to a plasma cutter. So I would just call it, actually it just named it for me, laser output dash keychain export. So then, I'm here in the makerspace. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pull up Lightburn because that's what we're using for lasers. I could take it, I could import into Lightburn or whatever laser program we have. Keychain laser, boom. So my scale imported wrong. So it imported into Lightburn really small. So usually what happens in these programs is things are usually off by a matter of millimeters to inches. So my full design size was 6.5 by 2.5 before, which it is now. So what I had to do is multiply my percentage by 2540 because there's 25.4 millimeters in 1 inch. So if it imports too small, that means you have to multiply your object by basically 2,540%. I always just remember 2540. So if something in these programs imports small, you have to multiply by 2540 percentage. And then you should get the dimensions that make sense, because now it shows 6.5 by 2.5. You can have it go the other way where your parts import really, really big. So let's say this guy imported at like that size when I imported it. So then I would know, oh, it's ginormous. So I'd actually want to divide it by 2,540%. And then that would get it to be, if I can find where it is, holy crap. Wait, why did it make it all small?
They have it too small, and then it can't really do it.
Oh no, I think I want to divide by 25.4. There. That's what it was.
Yeah.
That is it.
Good seeing you again.
Yeah. I'm gonna come back so I can be more familiar with this.
We'll do it. I'll send you a link to the video, all right? You're good, man. Trying to think if I have any examples in Onshape that are specific for lasering. Let's see. That's funny. Was this the design that No, this is the bottle. Never mind. All right. Trying to see if I have a good example. What's in this guy? Headphone stand. Light box. That's not it. Most of my fun stuff is in Onshape, or not Onshape. No, Fusion. Although I did use Onshape to design my glasses that broke a few weeks ago.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's something useful.
Yeah. I could do it in Onshape. I could have done it in Fusion, but I tend to like, I don't know, if it's super simple and I just need something to design, I'll use Onshape because it's web-based. I don't got to worry about updates. Loads pretty fast. And that, I wore these. God, it took them like 3 weeks to give me these new glasses. I almost canceled it. Like I was just at the point where I'm like, I'll get my $200 back, and the 3D printed versions were doing just fine for like 2 cents of plastic.
It worked well.
They worked pretty good. The only thing that, so my design, I didn't make it so it could articulate. I just made it so it like shoved over the nub that was left in my glasses, and it was fine. You know, I couldn't like fold it up or anything, but yeah. But I got the new glasses.
Now, if this model saves a DXF file, to Fusion, STL file.
Yeah.
Now, Fusion can import that.
STL files really are hard to work with. Fusion can do light STL. It has to be very, now to take it from Onshape to go to Fusion, if I wanted it to be a CAD file, I'm going to export it as what's called a step file, not an STL file.
What
STEP.
Yes.
That is a neutral CAD file.
Okay.
And when you go to export on an object, there'll be a ton of different options.
Okay.
So step, it'll let you, it'll say it's going to output for SolidWorks.
Yeah.
It probably will output as a SolidWorks file, but it's not going to be editable. Most of these programs, your edits and your model tree are dependent on what you're designing it in. So if I open up, let's say, that keychain file in SolidWorks, it's not going to know how I made the model. It's probably just going to import a stupid file with the geometry. Now, SolidWorks does have a fancy little thing when you open a file in it. They call it feature recognition. It will look at your model. As long as it's not super complicated, it will like reverse engineer it and make a editable model tree for you. But it's still kind of it's not the best. It's really not.
Fusion has a free download,
Fusion free.
and then I can load that to get, because Fusion will then generate the G code for that, right, for a mill.
For a mill. Yep.
Yep.
So step is a record of all the actions you took.
No, step. I don't think there's no way to transfer from one CAD to another and maintain that data. They haven't, and there's no reason for them to. They want you in their ecosystem.
Yeah.
Yeah. SolidWorks is the only one I know that has the ability to do it's a feature recognition wizard, and it will literally walk you through how it thinks a part was made. And for a keychain part like that, it'd probably be fine. You know, for really complex automation parts, it doesn't give you a great file. But yeah, not many programs like to use step files. Onshape does have, so like this is an example of a assembly file that I did. So this is a bookmark jig. So essentially I had this, actually it's this guy. So it's this little part. It's a magnetic bookmark. And I wanted a jig to be able to laser, 4 of them at once. And so here's the little jig. And I didn't design the full shebang right away. It started with, let's go back. Essentially, I started with one section. So I made, I wasn't going to print this whole thing every time to check 4, right? So I made sure that the one section fit, and it took a couple tries to get the right fit properly, and then I would make it bigger and whatever. And now it's okay. So then I just took that, and then I essentially just mirrored it. So I mirrored it across the left, and then I mirrored it somewhere on here. Oh no, actually I did a copy. So technically those are the same part twice. So I did a transform. With transform, you can actually, when you say translate by XY, you can actually create a copy of it. So I just click that and it creates a copy of your part. Why didn't I do a mirror? Oh, I know I didn't do a mirror. Because if I did a mirror, the circle, the direction would be flipped the other way. And I wanted them all to load in the same direction. So that's the only reason why. I don't think it would have mattered. And then I just Boolean those two together.
Blew my way.
So the thing with this guy that was kind of more advanced was there is my laser bed has a grid pattern on it that are 25 millimeters spread apart. So in order to make sure that the holes lined up, essentially you can create an assembly inside Onshape. So you can have multiple parts in one design file. So like, if I wanted to have the plate where this guy mounts to, let's just draw a crude plate. Dun-dun-dun. I'm pretty sure what I did is I had this part as a separate design part, and I do a lot of fixtures, so I constantly need to be able to import this bed into other parts. So I have this laser bed 25 millimeter spacing as its own part that I can import into different studios, essentially. So then under assembly, I can take multiple parts and import them together. So I started out with, this guy, the base, and we imported this guy. And what you can do when you're in an assembly like this, I can right click on the part I want to edit. So I can edit it, they call it edit in context. So if I wanted to, I don't think those are in the right position, unfortunately. Well, let's say those holes lined up. Essentially, I can grab, so like I could do a sketch. I can pick the bottom, not that guy. Sometimes these contexts, it gets a little harder. Let's choose the top. I'll choose this top face. That was weird. But I can grab those holes for reference. So if I wanted to grab the hole pattern, let's say, and I want to make sure that it lined up. So I could say, all right, I want this hole, I want this hole, I want this hole, I want this hole. Just for whatever reason, I'm picking those in that order. So I'm going to get out of this context that I'm in right now. So what you're going to see is this sketch 9. Whoops. The sketch 9, you'll see those holes that I grabbed. I put them in a sketch and I use that project feature and I grabbed them. So if I wanted to, I already have the holes spaced out on here, but if I wanted to make additional, I could add, basically I can reference other entities in an assembly in my part. And it creates like this, the logo next to it tells you, there's a little arrow next to it.
Spicy outside.
Oh, really?
Storm coming across. It's gonna hit here in the next 20 minutes.
Oh, shit. Let's wrap it up.
Little wimpy star.
Nope.
Yeah.
I know they were talking about,
The one towards the border down by Indiana,
Yeah.
because there's 2 storms coming through.
Mm-hmm.
They're dropping 3-inch hail in Chicago now. Yeah, it's super spicy. I got the friggin' lightning map up.
we were talking about that storm at Union City and how this could be.
There's one that's coming to get us. Yeah. So yeah, Union City get hammered twice.
Dude.
No. Like it doesn't strike the same time. Like
Yeah.
we used to say someone full of gutter.
What's a good virus protection for the computer?
Most
Defender.
What do you?
window, yeah. Is it a newer laptop?
Don't click on anything big.
Yeah.
He want good antivirus.
I know.
Back in the day, I would say AVG, but those are just bloated.
There isn't any third-party antivirus that I would recommend. I would say use Windows Defender. That's
For personal computers, I'd agree.
I mean, even for IT stuff and
Is
corporate
that
stuff.
free or you gotta buy that?
Well, and easily.
For corporate, if you're gonna stick with them,
It's built in.
I think it's built in with the Windows. Is it a newer laptop?
It's a couple years old.
It probably has it because I think mine.
It's an i7, but I'm getting
It's probably got it. Let me see.
Yeah.
Yeah, because back in the day. Oh yeah, you got it.
See if it's on.
Yep.
Some security, I'd like to.
So Windows Defender firewall.
See, is it on?
It's like 6
Private
message. 6 access.
Turn on Windows Defender.
I work in Schmuck tool. Okay, remote maintenance.
It's not like what I would assume it would have been.
Yeah.
Because I used to use AVG back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Why did you have problems with?
No, well, yeah, I'm getting all kinds of junk all the time.
The files of driver.
Well, malware bites comes up and tells me I got all kinds of problems. Buy me.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like Norton. Norton.
Yeah.
Back in the day, Norton would want you to give it a credit card.
Yeah.
Ranger, I got a life well, man.
So on and I'm all set.
Cool.
Yep.
It says it's on there. Yeah.
I just flying around like this so hard.
Yeah, it was like
Could go on Bluetooth, yeah. You gotta make it, you have to make it into a box and have a hollow so.
Where that, yeah, it's Illinois.
No.
It's actually broken.
And then we should, and then
Sir,
the info then.
stick to this pretty well.
But
It's a lot. There's a lot of processes